decided to put trains on them. How do trains work anyway? And what was it like in the heyday of rail travel? We'll find out. If questions like these tickle your fancy as much as they tickle mine, then join me, Smidge Manly, on this journey through the histories and mysteries of the railways of Britain. I've always loved trains. It comes from when I was a lad. I used to ride them with my grandma. She'd take us along to races. Although she were a terrible gambler and the ride home were always very sad. The view out the window though was smashing.
I was an inquisitive child, and those days have left me with a lot of questions. I still have many of them today, and in this programme I'm hoping to find some answers. But where do we begin? Railways are useless without trains, so I met a man who used to drive them. Roddy Nadwell is a very well-dressed Scotsman with an excellent taste in hats.
I like a flat cap. It's very practical, you know. It's nice and warm as well. I like yours. Is that corduroy?
It is, yeah. Well, yours is more of a tweed, isn't it?
That must be very hard wearing.
It is. It's light but warm.
That's
a bit like your trousers. Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah, it's very nice. I like
Now, Roddy, you worked in the golden age of steam up in Scotland. Now, you're best placed, probably more than anyone, to tell us how do trains work?
Well, they have an engine or a motor on board them. I mean, in my day it was a steam train, it was a boiler, but these days it'd be diesel, it'd be a diesel engine or an electric motor, but they have the means of locomotion on board the train. That's where we get the word locomotive.
And what do you feed a train?
Well, I suppose what you feed it is the fuel that you put into it. So back in the days of steam, you'd
feed it steam.
Well, no, you put coal in that and you burn the coal and that makes the heat to make the steam. But these days with a diesel locomotive, you put diesel in.
And that makes the steam.
Well, no, a diesel locomotive is a combustion engine. I mean, that you burn that and that makes the power. But an electric train, you put electricity in that.
Something I've always wondered since I was a boy. Do you think that it's possible that trains feel love?
Well, that's not a question I've ever asked myself. I mean, I suppose, back in the days of steam trains, it was always true that, the better you treat your engine, the more attention you pay it, the better it runs. So I suppose, in a way, the more you look after it, the more maintenance you do on it, the better it... I suppose, in a sense, that's probably true.
And is it still true with electric trains? Do you have to fettle them in the same way?
I've never driven an electric train. I don't know. I expect it's probably the same, Trains are trains.
Well, so much for trains. But most of us don't ride in trains, we travel further back. Today, they seem comfortable enough, but once, train travel was an opulent affair. To find out more about it, I spoke to Gary, who used to work for British Rail in the 60s.
What was your name again?
Yevgeny.
Ian?
Yevgeny.
Gary?
Yevgeny.
Right, Gary, so you're clearly not from round here. What brings you to London and where have you come from?
No, I come from St. Petersburg in Russia. I lived there for many years. Until I was 30, I was dancer in Bolshoi Ballet. But I was very lucky. I was selected. I came to this country to work for British Rail.
Right. Well, that's all well and good, but what are these?
Well, this is tiny Russian cake. I give you tiny Russian coffee and you eat with tiny Russian spoon.
Right. Okay then. That's alright, huh? So, what's dancing got to do with railways, anyway?
You have to understand, it was a very different age. I was a tap dancer in the tap carriage of the Swansea Express.
Right.
The people, they come to my carriage to see me dance. It was beautiful. I remember Glasgow Express had a whole ballroom carriage. It was beautiful, had a Wurlitzer organ. It was a different time.
Do you still dance? Have you still got some moves?
Yes, it is important to me. I dance every day.
Go on then, show us a little dance for the ladies and gents.
I'll show you a little something. I dance every day. It keeps me fit.
I can see that, yeah.
I do not have tap dancing shoes. You have to imagine the beautiful sound.
Alright, we'll do that for you. Yeah.
Okay. You like very much?
That's beautiful. Now, please have a seat. Now, back in the 60s, when you were on the railways, it was something of a heyday, wasn't it?
Yes, there was hay.
Was it the same? Did it work the same way? Did the trains still run on rails back then, or did they have a different system?
No, they always run on rails.
Right.
Well, we didn't really get very far with Gary. He kept distracting me with cake and dancing. We did find out that trains have always run on rails, but it hasn't particularly moved the investigation on at all.
I spoke to Terence Hardcastle, Policy Director for Network Rail, and I asked him why trains run on rails, and if it had been his decision.
So, have trains always run on rails, or is that a new thing?
Well, no, they've always run on rails. It's the trains and the rails are a single system. They go together. You couldn't have the one without the other.
Right, and who decided to put trains on rails? Was that your idea?
Well, no, that's very flattering, but no, it's been happening since long before I came along. No, I suppose the father of the railways, Robert Louis Stevenson, would be the one who made the decision originally.
And trains are all different colours these days. What's that about?
Well, we operate a franchising system. Private companies bid to run railway services, and as part of that they have the right to bring their trains different colours.
I went on a red one the other day and I didn't particularly like it.
Right.
Could you have it changed to something like a more subtle green colour?
Well, I could possibly put a word in, but it's not really my area. The franchisees have the right to put whatever paintwork they like on their trains.
Well, the thing is, trains are useless without rails. Talking to Terence, I found myself wondering, are trains all there is to know? What about the railways themselves?
The enduring mystery of the railways. As we know, railways have been there since time immemorial, and most of them are still there. But some of them, like this one that I'm walking along now, are long gone. As you can see, there's a bridge behind me, and this valley used to be a railway line, but it's long gone. Where's it gone? Who took it? Why did they take it? And was it here in the first place at all, or is it all just a big lie?
I explored the local area, and as I walked around the abandoned track, I started wondering if this might be a good place to start unravelling some of these mysteries.
We're here at a disused railway tunnel, and as we know, the railways have always been there, but some of them, like this, the rails have gone. Do you think the higher beings that put the rails down came back to collect them at some point?
Well, I mean, I guess it'd be, British Rail or something. If there's no demand for the trains anymore, that they would close the line. It's happened plenty of times. I guess it's what happened here.
Right. Do you think the people who put it there would be angry to find out that it's not there anymore?
Well, they're probably long dead by now,
I've not really got any answers from Roddy, so to find out more about where the railways went, maybe I need to learn about where they come from. I visited Crossrail, a magical place where workmen are unearthing a brand new railway, and I spoke to a man called Steve.
Right.
That's 3 or 4 miles.
So, Steve, you work for Crossrail. What's that all about?
Well, it's a new underground railway for London. I don't know what I can tell you about it, really. I'm not media trained. I haven't done the course, so...
And they're calling Crossrail a new railway for London, but we all know railways have been there since the dawn of time. So, is it really new?
Well, no, it's new. I mean, we got 45 miles of tunnels, we got 250 miles of new track and signalling, so, no, it's all new.
And how did you know where they were, or where to put them?
Well, it's all done off planes. I mean, you know, the central engineering department sends us the planes, and on site, that's what we use. That's the thing. Has this been through the media office? Because all this is meant to go through Kathy at head office.
I'm sure someone has. It'll be fine. Now, you mentioned tunnels. Now, when you dig the tunnels, do you put the rails in them yourselves, or do they just sort of come up out of the ground?
Well, you dig the tunnel and it gets lined, and then once it's finished, the track lane team come through and they put the tracks in.
Steve was a very nice man, but he didn't have all the answers I needed. Like many of us, I don't think he really understood what railways are all about. That's why I'm on this train. I'm going to meet Clive. He's a man of science, and he should be able to give us some more answers. Right, Clive Aberthwaite. You're a man of science and a master of metals and that. We all know there's some mystery surrounding the railways and where they've come from. But can you and science give us answers as to what they're actually made of?
Well, yes, the rails are made of iron, more likely steel. More recently, it's harder wearing in the weather. Sleepers, more likely wood or concrete. It's not really my area.
Right, so do you think it's likely that they've been put there by man or some other intelligent life, rather than eroding naturally out of the Earth's surface?
I think we can be quite certain about that. These are man-made materials. Iron, steel must be forged, wood must be felled from the trees, concrete must be mixed.
And why do they go brown after it rains?
Well, that's rust.
See.
Naturally occurring process when iron oxidizes. It's perfectly normal.
And do you think that science will ever truly have answers for us? Or will it always just be guesswork?
Well, Clive's answers were all very vague, but something he said were puzzling me over coming days. I couldn't help but notice that a lot of railway architecture is in a Victorian style. I put a post on my blog to find out if the internet knew anything about it. I got a reply from a man calling himself the Great Zorb, who agreed to meet me in a secret location in his mum's basement.
So, railways were put there by the Victorians. What do you say?
No, well, no, that's what they want you to think, isn't it? Now, think about it, right? If you were going to put a load of railways all over the world and you didn't want anybody to know that you'd done it, evidence, right? Evidence is exactly what you'd come up with. A load of faked evidence to make it look like it was the Victorians. Now, the fact that all that evidence exists, right, that's what proves that it wasn't the Victorians.
Right.
I mean, if you think about it, right, the Neolithic Age is when it all started, because they call it the Iron Age, right? And the Iron Age, why is it the Iron Age? Well, it's when iron started appearing everywhere. It's when the rails turned up and they were everywhere, and mankind found the iron on the ground. That's when the railway started.
Right. So, what do you say to people who think you're a conspiracy theorist?
No, I'll tell you what a conspiracy theorist is, right? A conspiracy theorist is just somebody who knows the truth. That's all it is. A conspiracy theorist is somebody who the authorities are scared of, because they know that we know what's going on.
Right. So, Barry, what do you...
No, you can't call me Barry. You promised you'd call me the Great Zorb, because if they find out my name, I'm in trouble.
Sorry, Barry. Barry raised some interesting points, but I'm concerned he's not the brightest crayon in the box, so I put some questions to Steve from Crossrail. Are you worried that whoever put the rails there originally all that time ago might come back and claim them?
Well, what happens after it's finished is not... I mean, that's not our problem. I mean, at the end of the contract, all this gets handed over to Transport for London, and it's their problem. I mean, what happens after that, I don't know. Have you spoken to the unions about this? Because we've got people who do this, and I'm not sure should be doing their job.
No, that'd be fine. Look, I'm sure someone will probably have sorted it out. So...
Is that all you wanted? Because I've got a delivery coming in.
No, that's fine, Steve. You'll go. No, we're all right now.
I don't think that Steve understood all the subtle mysteries of the railway. I, for one, am often bamboozled by its strange comings and goings. Fortunately, though, Barry had many more interesting theories which he spoke of at great length.
Well, this is the aliens are coming to get me at a football now, so...
So, if aliens built these railways in Neolithic times,
yes,
why did they do it?
Oh, well, think about it, right? If you're an alien and you wanted to enslave the population of a planet, how'd you go about it? Well, you'd have to get some kind of network of conducting metals to take your brain signals all around the planet, wouldn't you? And that's exactly what they did. That's exactly what a railway is, isn't it?
It's a
network of metal conducting surfaces all around the world. Well, that's what it's for. It's to conduct their mind signals.
Right. So, if that's what the rails are doing, what about the trains?
Oh, well, that's a good question, you see. I can tell you one of us and not one of them, right? Because once upon a time, the trains were all right. They were made by people like you and me. They were using the rails, but they weren't part of the system.
Yeah.
But these days, think about it, they're all different colours, aren't they?
Yeah.
And they're all owned by different people. It's all this nefarious network of different contacts, right? And they've got Wi-Fi on them now, and they've got phone signals, and they've got all this sort of stuff going on, right? And as far as I'm concerned, right, if you're at a train with Wi-Fi, all that's doing is beaming your brain signals straight back to Alpha Centauri, and that's what they want, isn't it?
Is it not just for checking your emails?
No, and you've got to be very careful with all that business, because that's how they get to you. That's how you get sucked into their system now. And all the people who tell you otherwise, right, they're in league. Either they've been brainwashed like most people have, or they're in league with the aliens at Alpha Centauri who
Is it not just modernisation of the rolling stuff?
No, that's just the excuse they use, isn't it? That's just the word modernisation. Oh yes, very clever, very clever. Now, modernisation is just what you get when you're trying to bring people into your little society, when you're trying to crush them down under the wheels of your alien civilization.
But he continued raising his interesting theories. But the point about Wi-Fi, not just being for checking emails, concerned me deeply.
I met a man in a basement the other day who told me that Wi-Fi was sending your brain patterns to Alpha Centauri. Is that the case on trains?
Well, no, I don't think so. As I understand it, Wi-Fi is a very short-distance signal. It certainly wouldn't be able to transmit to outer space. It's simply a service put there by the railway companies as a convenience to passengers.
And is it just for checking your emails?
Well, no, it's an internet connection. You could use it for anything, browsing websites, social media.
I don't understand what any of that means, but it's safe. It's safe to check my emails with it, isn't it?
Well, yes, it should be perfectly safe. It's a public internet connection.
Right. That's very reassuring, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, I didn't understand anything Terence had said about Wi-Fi, but his calm manner was very reassuring, and I'm sure he's not in league with the aliens of Alpha Centauri.
It seems like no matter how much we learn about the railways, there are some things to which we just may never have the answers. That mystery is perhaps part of its greatest charm. But one thing we have learned is that it's perfectly safe to check your emails using the Wi-Fi on the trains of Britain.
Well, I've learned a lot on this journey. Whenever I travel on the railways in future, I'll remember the people I've met along the way. Roddy, the fantastically stylish Scotsman with a nice hat. Gary, the dancing Russian with his tiny cakes. We met Terence, the reassuring businessman who knows all about Wi-Fi. Steve, too wrapped up in his work to appreciate the wonder of it all. Clive, the vague scientist. And Barry, the overweight brummie with a love of milkshake.
Right. Well, it's been lovely having you along for this little journey. Perhaps one day we'll ride the rails together. But until then, remember, it's my way or the railway.